Topping today's news, Devin Charlton is the new women's world record holder in the 60-meter hurdles. The Minister of Economic Affairs talks about cost of living in 2024. The F&M deputy leader calls for a united front in the fight against crime and international impacts. And the police continue to take illegal guns off the streets. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Dorino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it is a pleasure to have you join us. The Bahamas may be a small nation, but continues to punch above its weight when it comes to athletics and sports in general. And there is no way or no better way to prove this point than the fact that Bahamian sprint star Devin Charlton set a thrilling new world record in the women's 60-meter hurdles while competing at the Millrose Games in New York on Sunday. Charlton, who is known for her quick starts, led the stacked field of competitors from start to finish on her way to a blistering victory in 7.67 seconds, erasing the 7.68 record set by Sweden's Susanna Kalura in Germany in 2008. Here is Devin speaking to reporters after the race about the stunning victory and the new world record.
It's all about executing the racing, crossing the line first. So many of these ladies have the capability to do it, and I know it's just all about crossing the line first. And I know I had it in me, but it took a lot to put that race together.
Put it together for us from start to finish. How did you feel? What happened there?
I felt good in my prep leading up to today. I felt like I got the start that I needed, and I just held it. I can't say much more than that.
You're the world record holder. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Charlton now has her eyes set on winning the gold medal at the IAAF World Indoor Track and Field Championships. That comes up in Glasgow, Scotland, March 1st to the 3rd. Following that, her sights will be on reaching the podium at the Paris Olympic Games this summer. At the most recent Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing, the Minister of Economic Affairs, Michael Halkitis, revealed that Bahamians should see more action with regards to addressing the high cost of living in the next fiscal budget, 2024-2025. His comments come when asked recently about the current progress of the Davis administration addressing the high cost of living for Bahamians, which is a mandate of his administration.
The process is still ongoing. We have done as far as we could with the tools available to the government in terms of reduction in duties on things like building materials and food. We have done a lot of that. We continue to see where we can even go. I mean, a lot of it is zero. We are looking at, we have some research being done on the whole supply chain to see how, if there's any sort of government intervention that can bring some savings in that way. So we had said before that we will address the issue of the impact of the changes in the boat registration for particularly those small boat owners and those in the family islands. So you will see that correction being made. And normally at the mid-year, you don't see a lot of measures. And so you might not see a lot. You might see one or two. We continue, we present week after next. Today, next week, we continue to meet with the agencies to, fine-tune. Most of the major impact that you see will come in the full budget, which is about 3 short months away.
In a national address to mark his administration's second-year anniversary, Prime Minister Philip Davis stated that a top priority of his government is to reduce the cost of living, acknowledging how hard it is to pay for basic necessities. At the Office of the Prime Minister's press briefing, Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkitis also answered questions about an initiative by the previous Dr. Hubert Minnis administration where inner city or over-the-hill areas were made tax-free zones. Well, according to Minister Halkitis, that initiative was biased towards constituencies held by Free National Movement. And he explains.
It did not include all of over the hill. It included some selective constituencies. And if you remember, our Member of Parliament at the time for Angliston, and still the Member of Parliament for Angliston, was very critical that she felt that it included areas like Baintown and Centerville and St. Barnabas that were at the time represented by F&M members of Parliament, where she, being the member of Parliament for Angliston, which is the same demographic, the same area, the same people, so to speak, was excluded. And so it was very controversial.
Minister Halkitis goes on to explain what he feels is the true purpose of introducing such initiatives as the over-the-hill tax-free zone, describing them as temporary incentive legislations.
Legislation of that sort, what we call incentive legislation, they're often brought in with what we call a sunset clause, meaning it might come in and you say it lasts for 1 year. And the intention is that you would, during that year or that period that the law is in effect, you would gauge the impact. You would say, how successful is it in achieving what we intended? And so when it was done, again, we know about all the controversy of it being sort of selectively put in place. Did it achieve what it was supposed to achieve? I guess the intention was to help people to develop their properties. But what we found was that people who are, by and large, living in the area, if they own the property at all, they did not have the financial wherewithal to, say, make an investment. And so you had 1 or 2 large businesses come in and take advantage of the investment. And you can see some of them if you cruise over the hill, certain areas of over the hill, you can see some big businesses that were able to come in and take advantage of the tax-free incentive.
Last week, former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis claims that many individuals took advantage of the over-the-hill tax-free program and benefited, and it also benefited many new businesses and entrepreneurs as well, increasing employment opportunities over the hill. However, he is not pleased that the Davis administration has canceled the program.
The government stopped it. When we were the government, they used to bombard us every other day about expanding it. You must do more for the poor. You must do more for the marginalized. You must do more for the inner city. Expand it. When are you going to go to Angliston? When are you going to include the Grove or St. Barnabas? When are you going to include Fox Hill, like you've said? Every other day they used to bombard us. And what did they do? As soon as they get the opportunity, they stopped it. They stopped it. That program, as a result of that, individuals are being laid off in the inner city. The businesses that had sprung up are closing because what the government has done by removing the concessions, you have indirectly introduced a tax on those individuals. That's a tax that they never had. So as a result of this added tax that have been placed on them, they have to lay off.
Dr. Minnis is calling for the government to reinstate the over-the-hill tax-free zone initiative. Last week, during parliamentary proceedings, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper called on the official opposition to exercise political maturity to protect the country's image and credibility as a safe tourist destination in the face of international attention and bad press on the local crime problems here. While Opposition Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands is keeping pressure on the government's crime-fighting policy, which he refers to as a public relations exercise, the opposition Deputy Leader Shannon Cartwright seems to be taking a different approach. On Friday, Mr. Cartwright released a statement calling for a unified approach to fighting crime and protecting the nation's image.
Fellow Bahamians, good afternoon. As we remain challenged by the impact of crime on our communities and our national psyche, we have a shared responsibility to respond as one nation, one people, led by the government of the day. This national commitment to a collective response to crime must also be accompanied by an equal and determined national duty, a duty to respond to and reject the efforts and personal agendas of individuals, groupings, and entities, domestic or foreign, whose clear intent is to cause unwarranted and unjustified reputational damage to our nation and the Bahamian people. Let us galvanize our efforts to meet our national challenge on crime, but give no refuge or cover to those who seek to discredit and disparage the Bahamian people and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Cartwright lamented the fact that a recent surge in violence has generated much media focus, particularly in key tourist markets like the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And finally, in this segment, police investigators making headway in some of the recent murder cases here in country. On Friday, the Criminal Investigations Department placed 2 men, including a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old, before the courts to be formally charged with murder. 20-year-old Raekwon Alexis of Nassau Village was charged with the murders of Christopher Gibson and Courtney Belton, while himself being on bail for attempted murder and firearms charges. Police say Alexis shot and killed Gibson on Friday, January 19th, in the vicinity of a popular bar on West End Avenue and Market Streets. That's in the Coconut Grove area. Prosecutors further allege that Alexis, while being concerned with a 21-year-old Step Street resident, Eric Sims, shot and killed 30-year-old Belton. According to police, gunmen ambushed Belton, shortly after he pulled up to a home in St. Andrews Beach Estates on February 3rd. Belton, who was on bail awaiting a retrial for a 2015 murder and a firearms case, died at the scene. Alexis and Sims did not have to enter a plea to the murder charges. They were denied bail as the magistrate lacks the jurisdiction to consider bail for this offense. Both men, they're scheduled to return to court on May 30th for a voluntary bill of indictment. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.